Welcome inside the calm before the storm. Hey, it's going down tonight. I told you on Friday what was going to happen tonight, and without, to my surprise, it is an honor and a pleasure to welcome this beautiful lady who we all have watched from a little girl to a wonderful, phenomenal woman from Harlem to Hollywood. She has definitely graced us and did her thing and just grew. She grew in front of our eyes, as so many others have grown in front of our eyes. And I'm so happy of her accomplishments, but I'm more happy that she finally came in to sit down with the brother. So it is a pleasure to welcome Kim Fields, Tootie, baby. Tootie Kim Fields, Regine Kim Fields is with us tonight.
Hi.
God bless you.
Oh, you too.
How blessed are you?
Oh, my goodness. Your show's not long enough, and you've got a long, wonderful show.
And you know what? I only got you for a little bit of time today because I know I can't go through 40 years in 1 hour.
Right.
You know, so
thank you so much for having me. You don't even understand. I mean, this is what's up. This is
well, thank you for being. You know, I'm going to just toast you.
All right, here we go.
To good health, first and foremost.
To good health.
Prosperity. And more blessings.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen.
I'm going to sip for you. You don't have to
Go ahead and sip. Go on.
Oh.
I'd pour a little out for my homies, but
she's gonna spoil my whole studio tonight if she pours for the homies. I want to pour for the homies too, but I can't pour for the homies in the studio.
It's a pretty white rug here, so no, we don't want to do that.
We got some things going on.
It's nice.
All. It's all for you.
No,
it's
not.
Come on, look. You deserve all the accolades that truly is coming your way, and you have accomplished a lot.
Thank you.
And when you
so
reflect
much.
back in your life, you know she's added a new title to her illustrious titles, and that is author.
Yes.
Well, wife, mom, and a whole bunch of other things.
Yes.
But when you look back at your life, and she compiled everything, I should say this, she compiled everything in this beautiful book called Blessed Life, which is your autobiography.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you did this.
Thank you. It's been a blessing.
You're a storyteller.
Yes.
You've been through a lot in life.
I have.
You've learned a lot in life.
Indeed.
And you have a phenomenal mama.
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my goodness,
so
yes.
Let's start with her.
Raise a glass. Raise a glass. Raise a glass to Chip.
Toast.
Yep. We're gonna.
You want to drink again?
Take it to the head for Chip. There you go.
I can tell you get a brother.
There you go. You drank off my mama's toast.
If it wasn't for mama, I wouldn't be sitting here with you.
Very true.
Right?
Very true.
She is the nucleus.
Oh yeah.
Of who you have grown to be.
Yes.
And you're so reflective of your mama.
Yes. Yes, my mom, Chip Hurd for the last 20-something years, but Chip Fields, as most people would know and love her, tremendous actress and human being, and wonderful mother, you know, and it's still to this day, I promise you, Lenny, it still to this day blows my mind, the mom that she was to me, especially early on when she was a teenage mom. She had me when she was 18.
Wow.
She had no examples before her of how to do that. I mean, she had, her mom, but they weren't terribly close. But, again, she was a teenager.
Yeah,
and to determine that she would not be a statistic. And so she finished high school and did everything she could and poured everything that she could into me. And I'm so grateful to her.
You have come out to be a wonderful, phenomenal blossom of a woman. You've accomplished a lot, and as life teaches us, we're going to go through hardships in life, the lessons of life. I want to learn about some of those hardships. You share, you're very transparent, I might say, ladies and gentlemen, in this book called Blessed Life, in some of the hardships that you've been through.
Yeah.
And I trust the reason why you wanted to be as transparent was to express.
Oh, you want me to finish that? I'm sorry. I was
that was to.
Fill in the blank, Kim. Was to share, was to hopefully inspire, was to be a servant. I read a book years and years ago called The Servant Heart. And then I read another wonderful book by, his name escapes me at the moment. But the book was called, now oh my God!
If you had the wine, you would have have a sharp memory right now.
Oh my gosh, I can't even think. Well, anyway, I'll get back to you on it.
Okay.
But the important thing was he was talking about the servant heart is one of transparency. The servant heart is one of inspiring others through your own sense of, here's what I've learned, here's what I've been through, so that I can serve you, so that you can serve others. And that's really obviously the principles stayed with me.
You've served us some wonderful life lessons just in the body of work that you were put forth to do. Mm-hmm. Her name is Kim Fields. Tootie, if you love her. Regina, if you know about her. Depending on what age you fall into, you might know her from both. But we have Kim Fields, and we're going to go into one of your favorite songs.
Chuck Swindoll. That's his name. That's his name. Chuck Swindoll.
The light came on, ladies and gentlemen.
Charles Swindoll. Yes, that is the author who wrote the book. I'm with you now. Yes.
Okay. And the name of the book again, because now you got me back a couple of seconds. So give me the name of the book again.
Improving Your Serve.
By
Improving Your Serve by Charles Swindoll.
I'm going to read that.
Yes.
After I read yours.
After, yes, of course.
Because I'm in the middle of yours. I'm in the middle. I haven't even finished the book, but I'm in the middle. So let's go to one of your favorite slow jams.
Ooh, yes.
And you told me about one before we started tonight.
Yes. So this is one of my all-time favorite slow jams by...
There's a little vanity in this one, though.
Just a pinch of highlight reel. I happen to be one of the stars of the video with this amazing group, Boys to Men. And so the song is On Bended Knee. And I talk about in the book how my being in the music video came to be.
Coming up at the top of the hour, we're going to pour the wine, because I'm going to have a lot of wine to pour tonight, because Kim is not sipping tonight, baby. Kim Fields with me tonight. But coming up at the top of the hour is The Quiet Storm. Kim Fields.
The calm before the storm. Ooh,
that's what we're in.
Yes.
And there is a calm.
Whew, yes.
You can relate to that.
Oh, very much so.
Talk to me.
Very much so. That calm is so important, and you have to realize that the calm and then the storm and then the calm and then the storm is very cyclical. Mm-hmm. So you have to know when to take cover and be still in the storm. And even though there's a calm, it doesn't necessarily mean you're paralyzed.
Right.
It just means that everything is okay right now. So if everything's okay, guess what? You can move.
But you have to be in line with that.
Oh, yeah.
That stillness. And it's so hard for us, especially in this business and just in everyday life, no matter what kind of occupation you might be. A lot of folks are listening to us as they're driving right now and as they're working right now. It's hard to find that stillness when they're in the midst of hectic or pressure or
the grind, the hustle. Yeah, absolutely. It's very hard, but you have to. Otherwise, we learn it the hard way. Sometimes physically, like just this past week, my body shut down. Because it was like, listen, I know you're going and ripping and running, but you need a minute to be still. And I didn't listen. And so my body said, fine, I'm going to take over then.
You sure it wasn't because of all the coffee you drink? Because I found out that Kim, and she shares a lot of interesting things in this book, ladies and gentlemen.
Why you said I'm going to bring it up
because,
like that?
I'm sorry. Because sometimes you could overload your circuit.
Yes. Well, I don't with my coffee.
But
now, how about that?
Don't have to roll your head with me, sister. I'm just bringing up a point that I know you drink coffee. Are you a caffeine drinker or decaf?
Yes, both. Both. I love coffee now.
So I know another person who looks just like you loves coffee too. However, are you a person who has to have at least a certain amount of coffee in the course of a day?
It's helpful. It's incredibly helpful and wonderful.
If words could express emotions, I wish you could see her face. That's all I can say. This book, Blessed Life, your first book, wonderful journey. Like I said, your transparency is really interesting. Now, you even spoke about an interesting romantic hardship that you went through. What was
which one?
Well, let's the athlete. Because I don't want to spoil it.
Yes. All right, I'm with you now. Yeah.
So
I might sip now.
Yeah. Let me put the glass a little closer to Kim, just in case she decides to sip. What was the lesson? Because look, I'm in the same boat as you. Maybe not in the same section, but I'm in the same boat. And I try to learn from the hardships of relationships that I've been through. So if you had to look at everything overall, obviously every relationship is different. But what was the learning lesson that you walked away from that one that you shared with us in the book?
I don't know. I'm transparent enough to say I don't know what that lesson was hard.
Crazy.
That was a hard lesson.
You got to get this book, y'all.
That was a hard one. Yeah. And I don't know, some of it I can, with wisdom and a little time behind it, you can go, okay, well, I can see this, or I don't know what I was supposed to learn. I still ain't learned from that one.
You be unhappy, but happy to know that unfortunately you are not the only woman that went through that. I have the honor of speaking to so many women from time to time, and they've shared similar stories like that with me.
Yeah.
So a lot of sisters have been through the hardships of that.
Absolutely. I mean, as much as we want to try and find reasons why, in dealing with heartache and frustration and obstacles and tough life lessons, I think sometimes we might have to get to a place of embracing, I may not ever know what the lesson was, or it might take me a really long time to see what the lesson was. Newsflash, that lesson might not have even been for you. You might have just been, part
cycle?
of the, exactly. You might have been part of the cast for somebody else to learn that lesson. But there's some that you just go, oh, I don't know why that happened and what I'm supposed to glean from that. Maybe unforgiveness and how difficult going through life is and pursuing and being in relationships when you're harboring unforgiveness. So perhaps forgiveness is the lesson I was supposed to learn.
Soft and warm, comfortable and cozy. This young lady, you decided to go into...
Wait a minute, were you saying I was soft and warm, comfortable and cozy? Or were you saying that was your intro into the next segment?
Yeah, this is my intro.
Okay.
Yeah, look, let me readjust my chair. Because I was going to bring Kim flowers
soft
tonight.
And warm and cozy. This young lady...
No.
Why are you sweating?
No, because I don't want to get beat up by her husband. That's why. I'm not talking about your wife, sir. No. I fully respect wives, girlfriends, and fiancés.
Amen.
I never step over those lines. So the quiet storm and the calm before the storm is soft and cuddly.
Got it.
Got it? Okay, there we go. Kim Fields, though, is with us tonight. Aside from the, anyway, I forgot what I said. The bottom line is, though, I'm so glad that you chose to go into acting because I understand that you were a broadcast journalist major.
I did.
TV and film,
studied at Pepperdine. At Pepperdine University.
You would have been my competition.
No.
Yeah.
You have clearly made this wonderful lane for yourself, and there is no other.
I'm trying to be nice to me now, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Clean up on our
Yeah, she's trying to take the stab wounds out. Okay.
But no, when I went to college, Mom said, what's your backup plan in case you never act again? Because Facts of Life, we were still doing Facts of Life, but it was pretty clear the 9th year was going to be it. And so Mom said, have a backup plan. And so I said, okay. So I studied broadcast journalism and TV and film production. And I minored in religion.
Wow.
And so my mom, again, being very instrumental in who I was becoming and my growth and everything, she made sure that I didn't fall in love with the hype of what I do or who I was becoming as a quote unquote celebrity, because celebrity as a noun is very fleeting. You're an actor, and if you're blessed, you're a working actor. And that was my perspective. And so that's how I started directing, because it was part of have a backup plan. If you don't work as an actor, you still got to work.
Right.
And that was a part of my industry that I loved. But back to broadcast journalism, I had done an internship at one of the stations in Los Angeles, and I realized that I did not have, nor did I want to develop what it took to put a microphone or a camera in front of someone's face after their child has been gunned down. Or after horrible crimes have been committed, or, just the things that make news. And so I found it really difficult for me to, like I said, have what it takes. And I loved sports, and I thought, oh man, I wish I could do sports casting. And it wasn't what it is now for women.
Right.
And I had so much, respect for that world. And I just thought, nah, stay over here. Just enjoy it as a fan.
Well, you know what? God often puts us in the direction that we ultimately should be in, even though we go in or we have an interest in. The backup plan is so quintessential.
Yes.
Because I was supposed to be in a different path too, but this is where God put me. So I'm thankful and blessed as you have been. But let's go, because you mentioned the Facts of Life. So let's go into that arena for just a minute. Good good run, great run.
Oh, yes.
Not even a good
9
one.
years. That's
we
an
could start
amazing
with Different
run.
Strokes, right?
It was a spin-off from Different Strokes,
right.
yes.
And it was amazing. Then that ended good for you?
Very much so.
And you kind of got back to your life because being a child star has to be precious.
Well, being a child star, I didn't take it as being a child star. Again, the lens that I would always look through was working actor, and even as a young person. And I was so very aware of the pitfalls. I was so very aware of those that had come before me who had challenges growing up in the industry, adjusting to being a grown-up, and then adjusting to being a grown-up in the industry.
Sure.
If you never work again, if you're going through those awkward years and on camera and how mean people could be. And this was before social media.
So can you imagine how it would have been if social media was out
Oh my
there?
goodness, no.
Crazy.
So that was all really important to me, in terms of the development and the growth and just that whole idea of child stardom. It always had such negative connotations that I didn't want to go down that path. I didn't feel like my mom had signed on for that. In addition, I realized I didn't want to be a has-been. At 18.
Sure. Living Single, wonderful cast.
Yes.
I'm sure, look.
Oh, yes.
My mama used to love that show.
Thank
and
you.
obviously she wasn't in the demo of all of you beautiful ladies. But that was a salute to women of color. And it ran so long.
And people, not just the women, the men
It's
as
true.
well.
This
Absolutely.
is very true because I watched it as well.
Absolutely.
I loved what you were going through because you were dealing with real issues, just like you dealt with real issues on Facts of Life. So how much involved were you in the creative, or were you not?
The creative was really a done deal from the standpoint of Yvette Lee Bowser had such a wonderful grasp on these characters that she was creating and the world that she placed us in. And, while some would, fancy to think she caught lightning in a bottle, I get a little leery of that term because I would hate to think that that's all. She's far more talented. And the other work that will come from her, whether it's for Living Single, a reboot, or anything else. So I like to think that she moved that bottle around quite a bit in order to catch that lightning, because lightning certainly strikes more than once. But the work that she did to develop the texture of those characters, and again, the environments that she placed us in, personally and professionally. We had strong lives, away from the couch. We weren't a couch comedy.
No.
We were out there because how could we be? I mean, we were black folks in the 90s in a brownstone in Brooklyn. You can't just sit on no couch.
No, not in New York. Not in New York, not at all.
Not at all. Not even fake New York.
And there's really and there's not too much fake about New York. It's crazy.
And so being in a TV show where you're trapped in the script had so much. It was just chock full of great characters and wonderful storytelling.
How much was Regine reflective to you?
Not a drop. That's why she was so delicious to play, because she was nothing like me. And when you're an actor, you yearn for characters that you can really sink your teeth into, that really make you stretch out and work as an actor.
Are there other roles, hopefully in the future, that you could see yourself beyond who you are?
Oh, absolutely. It's very surreal to me, quite honestly, that we can say her career spans 40 years and know, sitting here, there's so many more characters in me to play.
Sure.
There's so much more storytelling to be a part of. There's so much more acting for me to still do. I mean, just this fall, starring in A Question of Faith, that was such a strong, powerful role for me to do that people hadn't seen me really do before. So knowing that there's still a lot of characters in me, it keeps me going. That's what keeps me excited about it.
Well, hopefully no more reality TV. Or maybe reality
One
TV.
One never knows.
That was a bit of a challenge for you, no?
But again, that was the order of the day. I mean, again, if you're celebrating something that you've been doing for 40 years, if you don't want to be challenged, then go somewhere and die. I mean, really.
Okay, I hear you.
So for me, yes, being challenged was what we wanted. What genres have we not been a part of? Have I not done? I hadn't really done competition. I hadn't done reality. I hadn't done, there were certain things that we just felt, okay, now's a good time to do this. Now is an interesting time to do that. So it's all, when you're designing a career, it ain't about no little one-off here and there.
Look, well, you know what? You're absolutely right. But reality, Dancing with the Stars, I looked at far from reality than reality TV.
Well, that's more competition. And other than doing the first Battle of the Network Stars that I did in the 80s, I really hadn't done competition TV. And I certainly had never danced before. Ever.
Really?
Ever. Oh, my goodness, never.
Wow.
Forever, never, ever, never. I mean, I had never, when you are in like acting classes or in certain productions, they'll give you movement. But you ain't dancing.
But you danced.
Yes.
You did.
Yes, I did.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful challenge.
I adored it. I loved it.
I can't let her go. I'm going to hold her for. Don't kill me, Vito. Don't kill me, Vito. I know you're trying to say, hey, she's got to wrap up. We're going to hold Kim Fields for just a moment before we slide. Well, we're going to slide inside the Quiet Storm and just chill with Kim Fields before we let her go, because her book, Blessed Life, we're going to cap it off with that right here, baby, just for you. Soft and warm, comfortable and cozy. I've got my glass of wine poured. I hope that you are enjoying your work. If you're trying to get off of work, I feel your pain, baby. We're going to try to move and expedite the night as quickly as possible. But we have good conversation because we have great company. Kim Fields, before I let her get out of here, because she's definitely on a tight schedule tonight, let me just ask you, Blessed Life, which again is your first book. Something tells me you have another book in you at some point in your life.
Funny you should ask, Lenny.
Did I have a revelation moment that I didn't know about? Tell me, share me.
Well, now, for those who know like all the Kim Fields stuff, this is my first, published book by a mainstream publisher. Okay. I self-published a collection of short stories about 7 years ago called... You ready?
I'm ready. This for children, right?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. When bad women happen to good men.
Oh, I must have met a lot of them. Wow.
So I self-published that collection of fictional stories, but this is my first published book by a mainstream publisher.
I gotta go and dig that up. I gotta dig that up.
I might have one.
Well, would you please send it on down the road? Because what you call fictional, I may have lived through. She's laughing. She don't know what kind of world I'm in. You know what I'm saying? So it's a cruel world out here for men.
Hey, there's a reason there's a storm.
And that's why it's quiet after a while. You know what I'm saying? Because you go through those horrible moments.
Ooh, horrible.
Blessed Life. The brand new book, first published book, I should say, from Kim Fields. Harlem to Hollywood. What a journey.
Yes.
That's 3,000 miles. If not a little bit more. No, that's a journey.
Yes, it is.
And you took it by foot.
Yeah.
From Harlem, around 145th Street in Harlem, New York City, all the way to Hollywood.
St. Nicholas Park,
Pepperdine University.
Stomping grounds.
Did that too. Mm-hmm. You have a lot to be thankful for.
I really do.
And you know, one thing I realized that your mom, I think it's safe to say, she was an activist.
Yes.
I don't know how active she is now, but so are you. Mm-hmm. But, I look at how privileged some children can be when they have parents who are in great lives and careers. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how often they allow their children to understand life, except, without looking through a glass crystal.
Yeah. Well, for us, we have two sons, but they're very young. One just turned 4 on Sunday, and the other one is 10 and a half. Wow. So we are keenly aware of what our role is as parents, of course, and parents of African-American boys in the time in which we live right now. But at the same time, you have to educate your children without your fear and without your baggage. You have to bring your wisdom to them, but not your baggage, not your fear. Their time is not your time. And what I mean by that is the things that we may have experienced growing up or as young adults or now as adults, for real, shown enough grown folk, may not be some of the things they deal with. So you have to be able to, well, and again, depending on the age range. So again, we're just now starting to especially for the 10-year-old, being able to expose him to certain things, but on a level, number one, that's at his level. And number two, where he's able to get wisdom, but not live in fear.
Sure.
Where he's able to get knowledge, but not deal with societal baggage or our own personal baggage from things that we've been through personally or even professionally, for that matter. And it's a balancing act,
Sure.
and we don't always get it right. But of course, we all have a responsibility on how we parent our children. And everybody's parenting is different, and I respect that.
When your mom was marching back in the day, around what age were you?
Well,
Because you were right by her side sometimes.
yes, but again, in terms of how that was played out, for example, part of our marching or protesting at one point was to support the writer's strike that happened years ago in the late 70s, I think it was. Rights are rights. And so if it's for writers and actors and directors that are part of our world and our union, or if it's women's rights or human rights. When Mom went to Ethiopia with a delegation of women led by Jesse Jackson Sr.'s wife. And those were the things that I was exposed to. So that then, as you see in the book, when I campaigned for Reverend Jackson, those were the things that were in my mind. When I protested against police brutality in the 90s in Riverside, with Dick Gregory, with Maxine Waters, with Martin III, and just, those were things that I was exposed to. And so, again, my children are a little too young for some of those things, but they at least have a working knowledge of, if you see something's not right, you do have the ability to help make it right.
Well, your sons have two phenomenal parents to guide their
Thank
path and
you.
put them on the right course. So
Thank you.
much continued success.
Thank you.
Get this book, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Blessed Life. Kim Fields, along with Todd Gold, put
Yes.
together a wonderful biography of your life.
Thank you.
And it is good reading. It's almost like you're talking to me right now.
That's exactly how we felt about it, and being able to convey that. And Todd was wonderful in helping me shape the stories and how to present the information, but it is definitively my voice. That's one of my favorite things when I hear people talking about the book.
Well, good job.
Thank you.
And we look forward and talk. I can't wait another 40 years for you to come in and sit down.
Thank
and
you.
talk with
No,
me.
we
So
have to do this more often. Absolutely.
Well, that's what she says right now, ladies and gentlemen. I got stab wounds. My carpet was about to get wine on it, but we'll see how Kim, plays this whole thing out. But thank you so much, Kim.
Thank
Bless
you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate
Thank you.
Let's get into a little bit more of this quiet storm, baby, before we bring in Confessions of Love. We're going to make sure Kim is well out the way before we talk about Confessions of Love tonight.
Wait a minute. I might have a confession.
No confessions. I think all your confessions in this book. It's the quiet storm.